that Piers Morgan interview. Let me quickly play it now. Do you ever listen to Lee Gunner? Because this guy,
you get quite a bit of stick in the comments for hanging around with Lee Gunner.
Yeah, I know, I've seen it. But the maddest thing is, I ain't fucked with Lee Gunner for about a month and a half, man. The reason why I've kind of
why?
Well, the reason why I stopped is because I was getting a lot of trolls.
Right on.
Yeah, which are definitely coming from Lee Gunner's channel.
I keep being told patience, bit. We last won the league in 2004. I run out of patience. We pay the second highest ticket prices in the whole of world football. I'm entitled to demand more. Arsenal fans should want more, demand more. Don't just settle the top four. Don't think that's time to get the buses out and get the bunting out. We should be challenging for titles and the Champions League. One Champions League final in our history? Really? You think there's something to crow about? It's been pathetic. We have a very rich owner. We have a very expensive stadium that we all help pay for. We pay massive prices for tickets. We should be demanding trophies. And I will not stop demanding it. If Arsenal fans listen to this going, oh, we should settle for fourth. Fourth is brilliant. Fourth is a trophy, like Wenger used to say when he stopped winning things. No, it's not. It's not a trophy. Winning is a trophy. Get back to a winning mentality.
Jeez.
And I fully agree, but that's Lee Gunner's stance.
Oh.
That's all Lee Gunner is asking for. Everything that Piers Morgan has said there is what Lee Gunner fights for.
Right.
And so it's so mad how he gets so much hate for it.
Is it though, really?
No, because
I mean, it's not really sort of what he's saying that I think people are disagreeing with. I think every Arsenal fan would like Arsenal to be winning trophies and challenging for titles, but it's sort of the manner in which you do it, the approach that you take.
I think what's kind of pushed Lee over the edge now is the fact that he's saying things that a supporter of something wouldn't say, like, I want Arsenal to lose.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, right? Because I guess the argument with that is if we lose, it serves the purpose of the greater good.
Yeah.
And the greater good being we'll be with someone that he prefers.
Yeah, a manager that's going to help us challenge and win the titles that Piers Morgan is actually referring to.
Right. The problem with that is that, of course, if you are supporting your team and they end up winning, that is sort of the aim.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is with my man is that when Arsenal win, he's really upset because he feels like it's not pushing that narrative, that agenda of getting the manager out, bringing us in what we actually need. Because if we're winning, the manager's staying, isn't it?
But this is part of the problem. It's like, let's say that early on you've decided that you don't like the manager.
Yeah.
Right? Now, for you to be right about the reasons that you're giving for not liking the manager, i.e. he's not good enough for us, he needs to lose.
Yeah.
So it's sort of counterproductive of being a supporter of the team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that is obviously why, especially with the nature in which I think it's being delivered, which is often quite toxic.
Yeah.
That is why people are looking and questioning, like, what the fuck? Does this make sense? Are you even a fan?
Yeah, exactly. No, I get it. I 100% get it. But you see me, I'm a person that I want my team just to win. You know, I don't care who the manager is. I've got my issues with Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean the main issues for me with Mikel Arteta is the fact that he isn't the same Mikel Arteta that we first brought in the door.
What do you mean?
He's changed his approach. You know, I feel like
is that a bad thing or a good thing? Are you saying that you liked what you saw first? And
I liked what I saw first, and it wasn't
right.
just the football, because I wasn't too keen I wasn't overgassed on the football at first. Do you know what I mean? But I liked what I saw in terms of. I mean, I think the football looked better than what it kind of is now in terms of the style and the way we played the ball forward, because we had a magician called Mesut Ozil playing, and he knew how to keep things ticking in terms of providing balls into the final third and made it look a bit more beautiful, you know. But after lockdown, things changed in terms of the style that we started to deploy, and I understood that it's because we don't have that creative player anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
But what the reason why I was really turned off by Arteta is because when he initially come, there was a lot of passion, enthusiasm, a lot of like we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're doing this, we're doing that kind of thing. And then it just kind of all changed, and it was like someone had sat him down and said, bro, you're saying a bit too much. This is the kind of narrative you need to push, and this is the type of, the angle that you need to come at, like.
You saying the aims or the targets have changed, or
I just,
because it's like the energy seems quite good right now,
yeah,
at least that there seems to be a good sort of energy amongst the squad.
Yeah, you know what I think? I think Arteta thought when he initially came, and this is where I was gassed, that it was going to be a quick turnaround.
Oh.
Like I'm going to make things happen within a space of 12 months, and we should be. That's the reason why he was telling players like Willian and Odegaard and these man that we're gonna win the Champions League within 3 years.
When was that he said that?
Well, he told that when he signed Willian, that was in his first full season.
Right. So
and then that's when he signed Odegaard in his first full season, but the second half of the season.
So in effect, the stuff that he was saying to William would be happening next season.
Next season, yeah.
So if we get into the Champions League, then William maybe should have hung around, right?
Yeah, but winning the Champions League within the next 12
we've
months.
got to be in it to win it for a start.
Yeah, no, of course, I get that.
I mean, people are writing Arsenal off already. I find the whole thing fascinating. Like, we've started talking about Lee or comments being sort of confused as to who we are.
Yeah.
Because it's like, obviously it's changing. Obviously what he's doing is changing. Obviously the plan is changing, and he's had to change. He's learning on the job, right?
Yeah, 100%.
No one is saying that this is the finished article in a manager or team or club as a whole.
Yeah. Still a long way to go.
There's a lot of work to be done, clearly.
100%.
But, my concern really is, especially when you're looking at that Piers Morgan interview, there are things that I agree with in that. It's just context is important. And as much as, I want Arsenal to be challenging, I know that it's not realistic for Arsenal to be challenging with Eddie Nketiah and whoever else is in the team right now, because that's just not
standard.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
He's not a magician.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
However, the fact is, man, that we're not where we want to be yet. And until that is the case, there are always going to be naysayers, right? I mean, I'm sure I can remember as soon as the Champions League final was done, I knew people personally that wanted Wenger gone from that day, which was a lot earlier than I did, a lot earlier. I didn't realise that it was going to be basically downhill from that moment. FA Cups aren't enough anymore.
They're not enough, no.
European football is, or not even European football, Champions League football is actually a necessity.
I mean, you see what Piers Morgan was saying about, and a lot of people are saying, I think Lee said it, there's other people that have said it about Arsene Wenger saying fourth is winning a trophy.
Yeah.
I think that's been misinterpreted. And I think what Wenger actually meant by that is that finishing fourth generates more money for the club than winning a trophy would, like an FA Cup.
Right.
Now, based on the squads that we had at the time when he said that, 2012, squad was kind of whack, to be quite fair. So, based on that, I have to kind of put all my eggs on this top four basket, because for us, clearing this debt on the stadium, it's all about the money. We need as much money we can. We can try and get an FA Cup.
And again, that is common sense. That is with context. But people don't want to hear that, man.
Yeah.
I want to hear, I was promised back in the day that we were going to be this, we were going to be challenging that and winning this. And
100%.
no one really is interested in all these financials, especially when we have this billionaire owner.
Yeah. I mean, at the time when that was happening, Stan Kroenke wasn't the full owner. There was also politics behind the scenes that nobody knew about, to be quite fair. I mean, you've had to, me personally, I've had to dig deep in order to find out this information that, you got Stan, you've got other shareholders at the time, but you've also got Usmanov, who was a problem for Stan.
Yeah,
and in 2012, they kind of wanted to get Usmanov out the door so they could fully take charge and start.
Well, that may have ended up being a good thing because we might have been sanctioned like Chelsea if we'd been on
Yeah. And obviously, Usmanov basically hung us out to dry until 2018. That's when he sold his shares. And then ever since then, if we look at the numbers.
Oh, well, you say hung us out to dry. I'm sure he wanted to be part of the board and to put money into the club.
Yeah, but he could have. He could have put money into the club.
Oh, just as in so could Stan though, because we're both sort of 30%ers. Yeah. So at the time, it's like, I'm not putting my money in because you need to put your money in. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not really going to benefit.
You know what it is? It's like, I think when you put your money in, you're increasing the value of what you're doing.
Yes, but let's say we go into business.
But if I have an agenda to outbuy you, I don't want to increase the value because it means I have to pay you more money.
Of course.
And
plus,
that's the reason.
If we're generating new revenue out of money that I've invested, then you're going to be seeing profit off my bank. That's
exactly. And that's something that Stan Kroenke didn't want to do.
Right.
They wanted to
do
that.
So that has held us back, you're saying?
That has held us back.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that's held us back. But we are still sort of not out of the woods.
Yeah, no.
We've only really just begun to recover from the whole Raul Sanehi situation.
Yeah, literally. And that's been another stumbling block for us because if we would have had someone competent at that point calling the shots, I mean, it's so mad because at the time when Raul started moving the way he was moving, we promoted Vinay as the managing director. Now, this is someone, with all due respect, who doesn't really know nothing about building a successful football club. You know, he's been great in the commercial world in generating revenue, but in terms of managing a football club itself, you don't have a Scooby-Doo on what you're doing. So because you didn't have a Scooby-Doo and you knew Raul had all that experience of being at Barcelona and so on and so forth, you've allowed Raul to basically play your role behind the scenes, be the face of the managing director and call those shots. Little did you know, my man was taking the brown envelopes. So, you know, Vinay is actually responsible for that situation that happened over that 12-month period where we've literally spent all that money on nothing. You know, look at the money we spent. Pepe, 72 million. Pepe hasn't even been shining since. William Saliba hasn't even made his debut. And, I mean, that was a great signing, but did we need to make that decision at that point? You know, other players that were brought in at that time, and I think that 12 months has been taken out of.
So in hand, should that give Mikel Arteta some leeway?
What that situation happened?
Or just all this he is dealing with and has been dealing with the aftermath
of all of that.
The fallout from Emery. You know, Raul.
I mean, the reality is, it should give him some leeway because obviously there's been so much that's happened that is, you know, prevented Arsenal from being where they should be. So to a certain degree, it should give him leeway.
We hear it a lot. Like he's had £250 million. He's had 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, within that space of time, he's still trying to figure himself out, isn't he?
Right.
Still trying to figure himself out. He's still trying to figure out his players. I mean, I still don't even think now he actually trusts all the players or has a level of confidence in all the players. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, who are you talking about in particular? Names.
Well, Mohamed El Neni, for example.
Oh, wow. What a fucking turnaround.
What a turnaround. I mean, he is...
Can you understand how he hasn't played a role ahead of Lokonga, though?
I don't. I really don't.
Because it's easy to say this in hindsight, right? But a lot of people, I think, before the last 2 games would have said, happy to get rid of El Neni.
Yeah.
Not really interested in this guy. He's been around the club too long. And you've got Lokonga, who I guess, he could potentially be future Belgian captain.
Yeah.
He's been captain of Anderlecht, I think.
Yeah.
At 19. So there is potential there. Maybe just the same way as Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Martinelli have been given the chance and they've flourished. He was trying to do that with them. It's just in hindsight, it's just common sense to use El Neni, who is
an experienced player,
international.
Exactly. I mean, you know, Mohamed El Neni has been pushed to the back of the queue, and nobody actually knows why. You know, some people have said to me they reckon it's because of his relationship that he had with Mesut. You know, he was really good close to Mesut.
Oh, and there was a tweet that he did, wasn't there?
Yeah, so some people think, you know what, that's been looked at, and it's like, all right, Mohamed, you know what, you're going to sit at the back for a little while. But the true fact of the matter is, you know, Mohamed El Neni's a really put together player. You know, he might not be the best, he might not be one of the most recognised players, and that's why a lot of Arsenal fans have kind of looked down at him, you know, because we want top quality, you know, oh yes, he's known by everyone, he's going to sell millions of shirts, whatever. That's why people have looked down at him. But he's come in, he's done everything correct. I mean, he does all the basics right, he hasn't got an ego to him, great personality, very humble. And in terms of the way he plays, I mean, he offers the team quite a lot, man.
Is there that much difference between him and Thomas Partey?
So it's man, I've been discussing this recently, and I think they're two different type of players, even though they play in a central area. I think for me, Thomas Partey is more of a defensive midfielder. Now, people will say, well, Mohamed El Neni is a more defensive midfielder, but I think Mohamed El Neni is more of a box-to-box midfielder, someone that he can support the defence, can support the attack, but he's great in the transition. He's great at keeping the ball. You know, people say, oh, he passes sideways and backwards a lot of the time.
You need a recycler.
You need someone like that, because if you're playing in a team that's controlling possession, then that's what you're going to get. Not only that, one thing I feel like Arsenal have lacked over the past couple of years, and we still kind of lack it now, hence why we're not as fluid as we want to be moving into the final third, is people's movement off the ball. Now, if players if they ain't finding space, if they're not making themselves known, or if they're not making the right runs, it makes it hard for a Mohamed El Neni to actually pick out a pass. So he has even Martin Odegaard, he has no option but to pass it sideways or backwards, because the agenda here is to keep possession. Do you know what I mean? So we need these players making the right movements on and off the ball so I can feed balls forward. So that's been one of the reasons over the past couple of years, in my opinion, as to why a player like Mohamed El Neni has passed the ball sideways and backwards more than he's passed it forward. But we have seen in the past, when we had runners like, you know, Sanchez, Mesut, players like that, Mohamed El Neni put some brilliant balls through. I mean, to get in the Champions League for Mesut's goal, remember that goal that Mesut scored? Yeah. That ball over the top, that was Mohamed El Neni. Yeah. And it was a brilliant goal, lovely goal. But that's what you get when you've got runners. Do you know what I mean?
Would you sign El Neni to a new deal?
Based on the two performances that he put in, I know people might say, oh, you're delusional, or they might call you names, but I would. I think not as a first name on a sheet, but someone there that's going to give you confidence, someone there that's going to give you the ability to play your game. And that's what Mohamed El Neni does. Very composed, makes right decisions. His passing accuracy is on point. Do you know what I mean?
So you'd give him
I'll give him a 2 year deal.
Okay.
2 year deal. Right. He's 29.
Well,
give it to him 31.
That is a real turnaround in opinions for a player who a lot of people had written off until very recently. So that is interesting. Let's flip it to the other side of the midfield. Granit Xhaka
played well recently as well.
2 unbelievable performances. I reckon, arguably, his 2 best games in an Arsenal shirt against Chelsea and
United. Absolutely.
The goal alone was just a magic moment.
I was jumping with joy when I saw that.
And he does like a goal against United.
He does.
However, again, this is a player that a lot of people have already washed their hands of.
Including me to a certain degree.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I am still, to this day, very ready to move on. But, you know, you got to appreciate for a second what he has been able to do there in turning the sort of wave of opinion around. And again, although he's been twerking for Roma and looked like it was all over, now the wave I'm getting is that maybe there is the chance that he could stay on.
I've got a feeling that Mikel Arteta will convince him to stay. I think Granit Xhaka has been at Arsenal for a long time now.
Was it 6 years?
6 years. Yeah. He's been at Arsenal for a long time. And, I mean, he has kind of grown over the years to become a much more put-together player and help with, especially under Arteta, I think, again, he's been able to help with, you know, keeping the ball and being able to, you know, use that pass, you know, a bit more effectively than he has done over the years. I think a lot of the problems with Granit Xhaka is he's, you know, obviously slow. You know, he gets him. He makes some rash decisions, you know, which leads to yellow cards or red cards, or even get just playing absolutely poorly. And I think that's why a lot of people kind of want him out. You know,
I can tell you're hiding the realness.
No.
Free it, man. What? How do you really feel about Granit Xhaka? Have those 2 games been enough to change your mind?
Look, obviously, we know there's better players out there than Granit Xhaka. You know,
Right.
but
Okay. I mean, is there? I don't know. Is there a better passer of the ball? Is there a better left foot in the Premier League?
I don't even know who's left-footed in the Premier League.
Oh, I mean, at Arsenal. Let's just start at Arsenal.
No, there's definitely not.
Is he the best passer of the ball at Arsenal?
The best passer of the ball in this current squad. If I was to actually say the best passer of the ball, I probably would say Mohamed El-Neni.
Oh, really?
I would actually, out of this current
Okay.
squad that we have,
Yeah.
I think Mohamed El-Neni is probably the best passer of the ball.
Okay, that's interesting because I don't know. I find it fascinating for a start that like Cedric is taking free kicks. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, what a joke.
I mean, but that is again when you look through the squad, it's like it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, I would probably go with Martin Odegaard to take free kicks.
Well, not from that side because he's right-footed. This is what I mean.
Yeah.
There's hardly any right-footed players who can whip a ball in. We've got Smith Rowe who can't connect properly.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Eddie Nketiah who's supposed to be a striker, so we can't really be having him taking corners.
Mm-hmm.
El-Neni, again, you sort of need him back in position. You can't be taking the corners.
Yeah, he can't. I don't think I wouldn't have Mohamed El-Neni taking corners, but I think he could take a free kick though.
Okay.
I think he could take a free
He
kick.
has. I'm sure he scored a free kick for us.
I think he has as well.
Anyway, look, I think Xhaka is ahead of Odegaard because of the way that he sort of connects in terms of his passing. Right?
Yeah.
And he just offers those angles from midfield being left-footed that set up people like Tierney very nicely.
I can't lie. I've actually grown to like Xhaka more. You know, I understand. You know the situations that he's had at Arsenal with the throwing of the armband and the swearing of at the fans and all of that. I get that, but over these past 12 months, I've kind of grown to like him more.
What is it about? Is it
I don't
him
know.
as a person?
I think
or
it's
the
just
player?
how Arteta's got the team playing. It complements Xhaka for the player that he is. Do you know what I mean? And again, it's
he's using him in a different role now.
yeah.
He is more forward. He is being.
And I like that.
Okay, right.
I like that because I think before, you know, he had Thomas Partey and Xhaka more or less playing the same role. I think I said this to you before. It was kind of conflicting for the both of them because they don't know who's doing what. Now he's got Thomas just being the base of the midfield, supporting the defence more, and he's allowed Xhaka to kind of express himself a bit more, get forward. And I think Xhaka was doing that. It's mad because Xhaka was doing that before he was at Arsenal. And that's, you know, a lot of Arsenal fans would have seen that when he was playing at for Borussia Mönchengladbach. He was playing in that type of role. When he played for Switzerland, he was playing in that type of role. It's the number 10 for Switzerland, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? So, of course, they see him as a more advanced player, but it's like he's been brought in at Arsenal, turned into some defensive-minded player. That's not his comfort zone, and he hasn't ticked properly.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why I've kind of liked him now, because of Arteta giving him that more of a free roaming role where he can get forward, he can get in the channels.
I mean, look, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, right? But I think this is another thing that you've got to credit Arteta for, because
well, he's a midfielder, Arteta, isn't he? So he should know how he wants his centre midfielders to be playing, isn't it?
I mean, look, I still think that it is possible for. Look, I speak for myself only, right? But I am able to separate the fact that he plays for Arsenal with, you know, who he is or what he's done. I'll be honest, I'm not really comfortable with the fact that he just hasn't apologised for the madness that went on.
Yeah.
However, I do really respect the way that he's sort of battled on or carried on and just, you know, gets on with his job. That is sort of the minimum that I expect, but I also do respect it.
He is like a leader to a certain degree, isn't
Well,
it?
of this crew, for sure.
He is a leader.
Because we don't have
one
any.
of the longest serving players that we've
One
got
of the
now.
oldest.
One of the oldest.
Most experienced.
And I think he, you know, he does have, you know, a high level of commitment. and that's what you want from
Yeah,
your
for
players,
sure,
isn't it?
for sure.
The players that are going to put their
100%.
neck on the line.
I mean, he strikes me as being, you know, it's sort of a catch-22, isn't it? He's like he is one of the most reliable players. Like if I want the ball to, you know, be with someone who's going to put it in a specific place, I'm probably going to choose you as one of the few names.
Yeah, yeah.
He's also on the flip side a little bit of a liability at times,
Yeah.
but you know,
This is where the fans go against him, innit? That's the whole reason why the fans want him out, because of him being a liability. I mean, he does, you know, lack decision making in certain moments. You know, lacks concentration, and then he makes those rash decisions where, I mean, I don't know, he just overdoes it, and it leads to him getting sent off, like we saw against Man City and so on and so forth.
Well, look, the world has definitely sort of, you know, made their opinion of him. Whether I don't think that is limited just to fans either. I think referees have now sort of got it in their head as to what's happening with this guy, and he is a marked man basically.
Same as like how David Luiz was at one point.
I just saw like some mad stuff over the weekend. Bruno did a challenge that I thought was a straight red. He actually did two that I thought were straight reds.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I know people say this, it's like a meme now, but it's like, if that happened to Granit Xhaka, bro,
he's getting sent.
Bro, the referee would have him in handcuffs.
Yeah, 100%. Put him in jail.
I just thought, oh, so his sort of reputation precedes him, but I don't want to let that be the reason that, you know, I'm sort of off with him. I'll be honest, if you are selling your clout for fucking Jose Mourinho, and to all intents and purposes I've wanted you to leave anyway, then you're going to have to work to sort of change my opinion.
Yeah.
But he's done a bit of that work.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I've kind of grown on him over the past 12 months. You know, I think one of the reasons he was flirting with Jose Mourinho and Roma was because he felt that the fans, you know, weren't supporting him. They didn't want him. And we saw that in the interview that he's had recently, innit? Did you see the interview that he had recently?
I did, yeah. I did. I mean, I'm not...
I didn't watch it all, but I did watch bits of it, like, you know, when they're promoting it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And he said that he just wants to, you know, he wants the fans to be on side, and he wants to, you know, leave something special at Arsenal and all of that. And to a certain degree, I think he actually means it. You know, he wants to get the fans back on side. And I think one of those games, the Man United game with the goal, if you saw the way the fans were reacting after the game, they were, you know, making them feel more comfortable.
I'll be honest, I thought he had a better game against Chelsea.
Yeah,
it's just that the goal was
stood out.
Yeah, it's just like you can't forget that one, I guess. Anyway, look, let's flip the conversation to the results. We've had 3 defeats on the bounce, and then thankfully 2 wins that have sort of brought us back from the absolute death. Because I'm not being funny, but Crystal Palace, Brighton, and then Southampton, I was fully thinking he's blown it.
He's thrown it away.
They
you know what?
died on that hill in January.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, your watch-alongs as well, they're absolutely amazing, bro.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
I love your watch-alongs, fam. I can actually watch your watch-alongs and have the game on at the same time. The only thing is you're usually like 1 minute in front of me. So I'm like, oh my God, they scored. And then I can't see it. Let me wait and see it. But basically, those 3 games, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe this. The Crystal Palace game at first, I was like, you know what? Calm. Patrick Vieira, legend, 3-0. They got a bad boy team. They got Conor Gallagher that was pulling strings. Cool.
Let's just talk about that for a second, right? Because first things first, Vieira's got them playing really nice football.
Really lovely football.
And again, you know, whilst you're saying like, oh, he's a legend, we'll allow that. There's a little bit of you which is like, well, what are we doing here? We better be looking at this guy at least in case this project goes wrong. Because this is looking like if he had the funds that he could do something special.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the fact that they've, you know, sometimes it happens, right? Like Leicester, or it just looks like they've got perfect sort of synergy. So much like explosive energy up top. Zaha, Mateta, and Ayew. Their midfield is like muscle, work rate, destroyers. Like Gallagher, Kouyaté, Schlupp.
Yeah.
Schlupp being left-footed.
You know what it is? With Patrick Vieira and Mikel Arteta, right? Mikel Arteta hasn't had the opportunity to like we said earlier, he's still trying to figure things out. He hasn't had the time to do that. Patrick Vieira has. He's been in France. He's been over in the MLS, where he's been able to manage players and understand player traits, player roles, and how those jigsaws basically go together. Mikel Arteta hasn't had that opportunity, and he's still trying to do that at Arsenal. Hence why there's a number of fans that are like, get this guy out, because we need someone who understands what he's doing. But you're right, with what he's got going on at Crystal Palace, it's working very, very well. They play with fluidity. They have the passing and movement. They've got players in every position that knows what their role is and know how to kind of do it. They just need a higher level of quality in that team, and I think Patrick Vieira could do wonders, you know.
Well, I mean, just, you know, the lineup for that team, I'm looking at it now. You got Xhaka and Partey starting in the middle.
Yeah.
Lacazette up top with Saka, Odegaard and Smith Rowe. Gabriel and White, Ramsdale, but I guess it's Tavares and Suarez. These are two of our weakest links, bro.
Yeah, 100% fullbacks as well. And we, based on the system, we know that we need strong fullbacks.
Yeah.
We need fullbacks that know what they're doing. They can defend and they can attack, because that's the way of Arteta. He wants his fullbacks. You know, we've seen the way he's been using Tavares, even against Manchester United. He was more or less a winger. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and obviously got back to do his
yeah.
defensive
I mean, that
duty.
has got to be because of what we've seen. Like, you cannot be trusted at the back.
Cannot be trusted.
It's almost like you said, he was playing so high up. Gabriel was playing left back, basically covering him.
Yeah, so that's what was happening. Cedric was also dropping back. So when Tavares was pushing up so far, Cedric would then kind of maneuver into like a centre back. You know, he would play like the free at the back kind of role, allow Tavares to kind of bomb forward, and then so on and so forth.
The Palace game, I thought we got absolutely outplayed. I actually couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Especially with what is essentially only two players out. Tomiyasu, who is absolutely crucial, I've realised. He's probably, for me, he's top three most important players in the club right now.
Yeah, 100%.
For what he allows us to do, basically, and the fact that he keeps Suarez out of the team.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm an opposition manager and I see Tavares, and he's Tavares right now, bro. You are not Tavares. You do not. You're not. Listen,
yeah, for real.
Cedric, I'm attacking those guys.
Yeah.
And that proved to be the case against Brighton as well. 2-1. And he decided to, I guess, skip Tavares on this one.
And play Xhaka at left back.
And put Xhaka at left back, right? Which is obviously proved suicidal. Like, he's doing stuff sometimes that's just like, whoa, too much here, mate. What are we doing?
Yeah. And that's where the questions are asked, you know, like you know, you've been at the club for quite some time as a manager now. You should know that doesn't work. We've seen Xhaka play that left back role, and it just doesn't work.
How do you fix that though? Because we've seen this performance that he just put in against Palace. Honestly, one of the worst performances. It was, you know, Andre Santos level, but worse.
Worse, yeah, exactly.
So, hold on a second. As a manager, I can't actually play you again, can I?
Yeah, exactly. He took him off at half time. And the maddest thing is, what I would have done personally is I would have probably played Cedric as a left back.
Okay.
And I would have pushed Ben White out as a right back, and I would have brought Rob Holding into the fold. That would have made more sense than playing Granit Xhaka at left back, who's got no pace. And then, you know, they've got decent wingers at Brighton, you know.
And what he really did in that game, I thought, was expose Lokonga.
Oh, left him by himself.
It's almost hung him out to dry, really.
Literally.
And, you know, I don't know whether it's just confidence that takes a knock there, but actually like progress now, because I think people can see quite clearly. And then he's just streets ahead of you, bro.
Streets ahead.
He understands the game. His spatial awareness is better. His passing's better. He's more aggressive. It's just like, you know. Anyhow, we move from that, and we're thinking, blimey, can't get any worse.
And that's when I was just kind of like, you know what? Because like I said, the Crystal Palace game, I was like, you know what? I'll brush this under the rug. Brighton game, I was like, no way. This is starting to worry me now.
Do you not rate Graham Potter then?
Oh, I love Graham Potter. I think Graham Potter's a really good manager.
Okay.
Really good manager.
Okay.
But I just didn't. It's so
just,
mad.
It's difficult because again, if you have in the back of your mind that these are my standards, we are supposed to be competing with Bayern Munich. I need my club to be challenging for titles. You can't be losing to Brighton.
Exactly.
You can't be losing to Crystal Palace 3-0, bro. You can't be taken seriously if that's the case.
Doesn't make any sense.
I get it. It's just that context says, again, just to play devil's advocate or give the sort of parity, it's like, if I'm looking at English coaches in this country, in the world, Potter is top 3.
Yeah.
He plays beautiful football.
Yeah.
And with a striker last season, Brighton would have been top 4, bro.
Yeah, they've done very, very well.
Like genuinely European football. Maybe not top 4, but European football.
Yeah.
So, you know, we are approaching a situation in the Premier League where it's a little bit NBA style, where genuinely anyone can beat anyone. And over the 38-game period, yes, the money will prove to be superior. Cream will always rise to the top over the long stretch. But on the day, bro, it does feel a little bit like we are actually better against bigger clubs.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like we put in these bipolar performances. It's the best way to put it, isn't it? It's like you go against the teams that you expect to win, and you lose. You go against struggling,
creeping over the line with a 1-0.
It's weird.
Which is fine, but then, I mean, we didn't get the result against City, but I have to say that was one of the best performances or first half
performances
that I've seen this season. The game against Tottenham, first half of the season, the first half of that game is probably the best half of football at that time anyway that I'd seen this season. Second half might have been the worst.
Yeah.
But it does look like the bigger clubs are the ones where we're looking more serious.
Yeah,
and
it's so weird.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but his record against the top 6 is still not what it needs to be.
Yeah.
But to beat Chelsea and United, let's back to back.
Yeah, lovely, man. It's lovely. Again, like I was saying, it's like the teams you expect to beat, you lose against or scrape by against, but the teams you expect to have a difficult game against, or it be this.
Like this has gone backwards to the way that I thought. Like Palace, Brighton, and Southampton, I presumed that's 4 to 6 points. Just knowing what Arsenal are, 4 to 6, I would have taken that. But to get none, and then to get 6 against Chelsea and United, Chelsea
and 7 goals in the space of those games.
Let's talk about the Chelsea one first, right?
Yeah.
What a game, right?
Yeah, brilliant.
I'm not being funny, but 4 goals at Stamford Bridge is something in itself. And let's just talk about the big sort of, you know, we had the midfield switcheroo. We've now got the up front switcheroo.
Yeah.
He's actually decided, I'm done with you, Lacazette, bro.
Yeah.
Whether it's the COVID thing or whatnot in the background, he looks like
he's done.
He's done.
He's done. I think the COVID was just a cover up, and the reason why I say that is because I think Mikel Arteta behind the scenes was done. He was like, you know what? I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at what you're really offering the overall team. You're not doing nothing. Nothing. Everyone can see it. No one's blind here. We can see it. Mikel Arteta can see it.
It's painful at times.
It is.
Painful.
He just wants to put faith. You know what it is? I've made a decision as a manager to make you captain, bro.
Yeah.
And near the performances that you're putting in, I want to give you a bit of faith and hope that this can turn around. And this ain't the Lacazette that I put my belief in. But what are you on? Like, what are you doing? So I think over that period of time, he decided that, you know what? I don't want you as captain, but I just need to kind of find a way how to.
It is a very sort of convenient way of it happening. Let's just say that. Even if it is a thing, it's very nice that it just happened like that because it's not too uncomfortable for him as skipper.
And you've given, and he's not really a captain as well. I think it's just, but anyway, you've given the captain's armband to Martin Odegaard, and he is a captain. You know, he might not be a vocal captain, but in terms of his work ethic and what he's offering and the setting of example, this guy is on point. Do you know what I mean?
Are you a fan of Odegaard then?
Oh yeah, I rate Odegaard. Okay. I really like him. He's the type of player that I like. You know, the Mesut Ozils, the Odegaards, those playmakers. I love playmakers. Do you know what I mean? And I always said when Odegaard first come, I said, you know what, I like what I see of Odegaard, but he's going to need more than 6 months to actually adapt to this league and us to really be able to determine if he's the right character for us.
Yeah.
And now we've brought him in for the year, or we signed him officially. He's stepped his game up, and he is setting the example for everyone else in that team. You know, the level of work ethic he's putting in. You know, the movement, the passing, finding the space in the channels, and just being a thorn in that defense. You know what I mean? And I think he has elevated the likes of Saka. He has made them play better, you know, because there's a certain standard that comes with Martin Odegaard. And I think Mikel Arteta has kind of spotted that and been like, you know what? I've got to make this guy the captain.
Okay. So
And that's
Odegaard steps in as skipper.
And things change.
Lacazette is now on the bench.
Not if he got 10 seconds in the Chelsea game. 10 seconds.
And let's be honest, right? Eddie Nketiah, who's also done an interview, Alain Xhaka.
And the maddest thing is that interview just after the Brighton game. So maybe Mikel Arteta.
The timing was, listen, man, this is all not, none of this is an accident. This is not an accident, bro.
Literally.
He often, you know, spoke of in that interview saying, I'm just waiting for my chance. He nearly got a move under Unai Emery, apparently.
Yeah.
To German side.
Yeah.
Augsburg,
yeah.
And for some reason, they cancelled that a few days before the season started. And then he only got himself 3 games during the whole season.
He was a bit pissed off with that, wasn't he?
Understandably so, because it's like, I need to get on with playing football so I can progress in my career.
And at the time, he had done pretty well to get to where he was at, innit?
You know, the way that people talked about Balogun last season.
That's how they were talking about Eddie Nketiah.
Breaking records down there.
Yeah.
Needs a chance, needs football.
I mean, Arsene Wenger brought him through because he had something.
But let's be honest, he couldn't get, you know, the starting sort of place locked down at Leeds.
Yeah. No, I think, he started off well at Leeds, but I think Bielsa preferred Bamford due to the physicality and due to the fact that he's more or less a target man type striker that can bring players into the game.
He did start well though. A couple of poachers goals I saw.
Yeah, I think it was like four goals in maybe like 8 games when he first went there.
He's been given the chance, and by God, he's taken it.
Yeah,
I mean, he looks like he's changed what we can do completely.
Yeah.
I know
he's actually doing what Lacazette was meant to be doing. And he's getting the goals at the same time. Have you seen the way he's actually receiving the ball, dropping over shoulder and bringing other players into the game? And I'm like, bro, this is what Eddie Nketiah is doing. This is what we expected Lacazette to be doing. And my man's getting the ball stuck between his feet. And
you know, the truth is, I'm not a massive fan of taking pre-season too seriously. But if only because growing up, the only way that you'd even find out what was happening with pre-season was like either the tiniest little bit, which was just the scores in the paper the next day, where you'd see like Arsenal 9, Bournemouth 0, or teletext.
Yeah, teletext was the one. That was the go-to in the mornings.
You didn't really know anything else or see anything else before the season started. So when I look at it now and I look at the pre-season that's just gone, I tried to watch every game. Even when I was on holiday, I was watching games. And I was really thinking, like, as to, let's see what Arteta is putting together. When I watched Eddie, I remember thinking, wow, he's spinning Kante. He sat Kante down.
Yeah.
I know that's not like the be all and end all, but it's like, oh, hold on a second.
It's got something here, isn't it?
He's doing more than the other two, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm watching Aubameyang missing sitters from 2 yards out.
Yeah.
Lacazette.
Eddie Nketiah's got good movement. Bro. He's got good movement. And even before I was saying that Eddie Nketiah needs a mentor. He needs a striker that's been there and done it so he can learn from him. Because like he even said in his interview, all he's really been doing is looking at Henry and Ian Wright's videos and kind of implementing their style, adding it to what he can do. But he needs that physically in the flesh. Do you know what I mean? Because videos can only show you a certain bit. You need that physically in the flesh. And Aubameyang, wrong attitude, fell off, didn't care. Lacazette, basically the same as Aubameyang, he's not caring. And you're not going to get anything from that. Do you know what I mean? And
Do you think Lacazette now, because of the You know, he's doing interviews himself now,
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
I'm talking to Leon. I've been talking to Leon.
And it's so mad. It happened.
I'm
like
actually
you
talking to
said.
various clubs.
As you said, when those videos dropped, Eddie Nketiah a starter because you showed that you want it.
That's not an accident. That's not an accident.
Lacazette's talking about leaving, fam.
Not an accident.
You're my captain, bro.
You know what's funny as well, man? With all due respect to Lacazette, right? Because initially I went, what? The skipper is out here saying, I'm talking to various clubs. He actually, the headline they ran with was Lacazette leaving Arsenal because he misses Champions League football.
Oh, man, when I see that, I was like, are you taking a piss, bro? You're one of the reasons we're not in the Champions League right now.
When I saw it, honestly, I sat up in bed. I was like, are they mugging me off? What? No, you're part of the problem.
Exactly.
Right? You're part of the reason we're not in the Champions League, mate.
Exactly.
You've had ample opportunity to do something. Yeah? I'm done with you. And then I thought, oh no, hold on. Let me actually watch or read the whole interview. I know what they're like. I'd already done a video though, so sorry, Lacazette. Yeah, but he did actually get played. And this is what I mean about the PR spin. It's not an accident. They've chosen little excerpts. They didn't even choose to use the part where he said, I really want to get Champions League football with Arsenal. You know, I love this club, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to be a hero here, blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, though, the way the situation has panned out, he looks most useful celebrating from the sidelines when we score.
Yeah, literally.
Have you seen the passion?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
mate.
Literally.
He's incredible at that, right? And during the United game, again, it's not, with all, with all the jokes aside, it's like, there is a real unity amongst the squad. They know they're up against it. And this is part of the reason why I think, just to take this full circle from where we started, it's like, this is why I think people have got such a problem with people being so harsh on the club or Arteta or the squad. It's that they know this is a job. They know this is not written in the stars. We're not guaranteed anything out here. And I don't think they think it's good enough. But the idea should be that we've got something here. Like, I'm going to be honest, bro. At the beginning of the season, if you asked me where Arsenal would finish, my heart would have said 5th, 6th.
Yeah.
And my head would have said, bro.
Top 4.
My head would have said, we'll be lucky if we get top half.
Okay.
We finished 8th 2 seasons in a row, bro. And we've signed a couple of people that I'm not really too sure about.
Yeah.
I looked at Ramsdale initially and I was like, my first thought was, what?
Yeah.
30 what?
30 million for a
Then I
backup.
watched the game. I remember watching the game against Liverpool, but I rewatched one of the YouTube clips and I was like, oh my God, he actually was man of the match against Liverpool. Even though Liverpool won, he was unreal. So, okay, let me just give this a moment. Right? As the moment's gone on, do you know what? I actually do buy into it. I do. And more to the point, I want to buy into it because it's the club. Now, again, at the beginning of the season, if I would have been honest, my head would have said, we'll be lucky to get top half. So, obviously, things have changed. We've moved into a position where they somehow have managed to get themselves. Whether you think that's the league's been shit, everyone else is flopping, doesn't matter. Somehow, we're in the conversation.
Yeah.
And that is without the thing that he wanted. He said, right, they want that profile of striker. We were supposed to get Vlahovic. I'm pissed off. Everyone's upset we didn't get a striker. They didn't do anything in January. But I'm sort of safe in the knowledge that they've got a plan. Now, let's just say, for example, hypothetically, that we had brought that player in. Bro, we're getting top 4. We're probably getting 3rd.
Yeah. We just need.
Can't deny that.
Yeah.
That guy up top, he will bully a couple of Premier League defenders that
100%.
Lacazette's been shaking hands with.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, so with a potential player like that, and we're already in the conversation for Champions League, I actually do believe now. I'm actually buying into it. If you can actually beat Chelsea and United, and I know United are a bit shit, but
Chelsea anyway.
Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah,
bro, I don't
exactly.
care what they're going through. There's hundreds of millions of pounds worth of international fucking experience there. You got World Cup winner. You got no excuse for us to be smashing you at home. So I'm on board, bro. I'm on board. And if you do in the summer, again, it's a big if, but if we get this right, the potential is there. Now, I do have a problem though, right? Because what is happening is people, myself included, but people are getting carried away. So let me just give you the final one. See, with the way that Eddie's moving right now, would you give him a little extension, a little chance, maybe a 1-2 year?
I've said that I would be happy to give Eddie an extension on his contract as long as we still bring in that top striker.
Because this is where we're going to have a problem now. I like the progress. Like I said, I want to buy into it.
Yeah.
But you're only going to convince me by actually getting what you said you needed. That's the sprinkling of some top-class players in there.
Yeah, 100%.
We're already saying, and, you know, understandably so, I think a lot of Arsenal fans will be saying this, maybe it's for squad depth, maybe it's for whatever your decision is, but you've already said now today, you would give new deals to Granit Xhaka, El Neni, and Eddie Nketiah. Now tell me, bro, we've been here before.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about Granit Xhaka, but Mohamed El Neni, 100%. I just think Mohamed El Neni has.
Oh no, you said you think Arteta will give.
Yeah,
Xhaka.
I think he will give Xhaka a new contract.
Look what's happening.
Yeah.
The way that I was seeing things, and the reason that I was so happy to move on from Xhaka was because it's like, you've had your go. Lacazette, bro, you're done.
Yeah.
Aubameyang, you've had years, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm ready for a couple of new big boy strikers. I want a new midfielder.
Yeah.
I want a new right back. Pepe didn't work. Let's get a new one.
Yeah.
And we're moving.
Yeah,
Top striker. And we are now to the point where it's like, okay, now I've seen you can beat Chelsea. I saw you could beat Chelsea without the top striker, bro. So if you're getting duppied by Chelsea again, there's a problem.
100%. 100%.
That's where I'm moving to now.
Yeah.
Like, we've done a lot of the preparation, bro. We are getting to the point where it's like, it's decision time now. This is why I'm on board. I'm on board. I will support you fully into the fucking battle we go.
Yes.
But come summertime, when the beginning of the season starts, you will know how serious this club is. It looks like we're going to be Champions League, bro. We've got it in our hands.
Yeah, I mean,
we are so close.
So close. Just Tottenham in the way, man.
You know the club, as well as I do, are more than capable of, we've seen it, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Southampton, and it's up. The Tottenham game is probably the one that Arsenal will show up in. It's the other ones that I would worry about.
West Ham,
the
Leeds, Newcastle, who have done really well under Eddie Howe. We were talking about.
He's another English coach who plays nice football.
Literally just about to say that. You're talking about Graham Potter being top 3. I think Eddie Howe's up there as well, man. He's done so well at Newcastle.
And with like the funds that they potentially could get, this is why I say, like, if Arsenal don't get Champions League this year, it's such a problem, bro.
Big problem.
I cannot explain it. Imagine just a world where West Ham win Europa and get Champions League, and suddenly they're opening the doors to new targets that they haven't been able to attract before. Newcastle, they just throw more money at it. Like, they will throw 8 times what anyone else can pay.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're saying they won't just to protect their money.
Yeah.
But they will. Or
100%.
they'll do it in the sneaky way of, oh, look, let me just give your dad a lifetime 50 grand a month bonus.
Yeah.
Your mum needs a house, cars, kids in schools.
It's probably what they've done with Bruno Guimaraes, isn't it?
Who is flying. Have you seen him?
Yeah, I love him, man. He's a brilliant player, man.
It's not often that a player just hits the ground running like that as well, but he looks like he's controlling games already.
100%. Someone that we were looking at as well, we should have definitely pulled the trigger on that one. I don't know what we was thinking.
Well, I mean,
that would have been a perfect replacement for Granit Xhaka, in my opinion. Perfect. But,
well,
I mean, it is what it is. And, I mean, there are, like we were saying, there's players out there. We need to just jump on them. We need to make sure that we can get deals done. And they need to be of a certain quality. We can't, like Mikel Arteta's already said it, he doesn't want to bring players in that don't improve the squad. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we've been linked with a couple. More recently than any, Gabriel Jesus.
Yes, man, like Jesus.
Strikers are obviously what everyone is thinking about. They've already said, I guess, they've made their mind up that someone big is going to come in the summer. Ornstein and all these people. Well, look, I'm in 2 minds as to what's going on here because, you know, the PR that we're fed is so dangerous, and we're so easily manipulated, so vulnerable as Arsenal fans, right? That when I see this guy, what's his name, Ornstein, doing interviews saying Arsenal are well ahead of schedule. They need to just relax a little bit because they're looking like a Europa League team. Okay, back to you being Europa League aspirations, please.
Yeah, yeah.
That is just, I feel like, to calm us down if this goes wrong, and that's the reason why we'll still be linked with a Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I don't know. Maybe you're more of a fan.
I mean, for me, Gabriel Jesus is a very, very good player. You know? Been in the league for 5 years now, so he's Premier League proven. Scored himself 4 goals over the weekend.
Unbelievable,
unbelievable. You know. And
what are you trying to sell me?
But the maddest thing is, it's like if you look at what's been said to Jesus in like interviews and so on and so forth, it's compelling to believe that this is a deal that's being done as we speak. You know, he just doesn't want to talk about it because he's at Man City and they've got the chance to lift the Champions League and the Premier League. So there's no point speaking about it. But I think
there's obviously a relationship there with Arteta.
Clearly, you know, he's dad and Arteta. You know, they would have had conversations. He's representatives.
Are you
Arteta.
not? Is this, to me? When I first heard, I was like, "Oh, I don't know." You know,
I said to my boys, if this is Football Manager, I'm taking Gabriel Jesus all day.
Oh, 100%.
But in real life, I'm not too sure because I mean, it's not him. It's not his own fault. But Pep's kind of been playing him everywhere, isn't it? It's been right wing, left wing, up front. Is
that not what Arteta would want though?
Yeah, clearly he wants the versatility, but we as fans want a goal scoring machine. And if Gabriel Jesus is going to be the marquee main man, is he going to guarantee us 15 plus goals in the season? We don't know. You know, and that's where a lot of people are skeptical. But based on his ability to play the game, his ability to press, run around the fields, bags of energy, you know, still being 25, so he's still got years to go. You know, fans are like, you know what, I would be happy with Jesus. Plus the amount of money that's being spoken about, 30 million pounds. I mean, for a player of his quality, you can never turn that down.
He's only 25 or 26.
25 years old, so you can't turn that down. He's had a good season as well this season. You know, he's got, 15 goal contributions this season. So goals and assists. Does that include just in the Premier League?
No, but does that include the last game?
Yeah, that includes the last game.
Okay, right.
So it would have been 11 before that. But
I mean, he's
only played 24 games.
Yeah, he barely gets a run of games.
Yeah, and he's played on the right wing most of the time.
Listen, man, I don't think there is a single player at Manchester City who I wouldn't take.
Yeah, I'll take most of them.
I mean, they're at Manchester City for a reason, and that's why they've been the dominant force in European football.
You know, we know what type of player profile that Pep Guardiola likes. Hard working. You know, they got a winner's attitude over there.
Reliable passers of the ball.
Exactly.
Workers.
Exactly, and that's what Gabriel Jesus is. He's a worker. I think
it's exciting, man. To me, it's like that's a more sort of respectable name to be associated with than some of the ones we have, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yeah. Ivan Toney.
Oh, you know what? He's grown on me. Like, over the past 12 months, he's fully grown on me. Someone that, again, works hard, brings players into play, got a pass in him, can drop deep and do what Mikel Arteta is asking Lacazette to do, and things like that. Like, he's a really, really overall good player, and I think he could add a different dimension to the team. Can score goals. I mean, he's on about 12 or 13 goals this season, playing for a team like Brentford, who are more or less near the bottom of the table, you know, like, or halfway there. So I would be happy with Ivan Toney, but again, I would still want a powerhouse.
Right. So basically, what you're saying is you want 2 strikers, or a striker and
I think we're gonna need 2, regardless.
Right, but it's not going to be the same profile, right? So it's like you might get a Jesus who can do. He plays on the right, left, and in the middle. Yeah. And you get a power forward. Yeah. You know, or at least that's what I'm hoping.
I was going to say, they have said that they're looking at homegrown players, isn't it?
Right, which makes me think, well, does Gabriel just count as homegrown now?
He will do, yeah, because he's been at Man City for over 5 years.
It's amazing. You got to remember, I think he signed him from Palmeiras.
Yeah, so they signed him when he was about 19.
He was genuinely like the hottest thing coming out of Brazil. Yeah. And, had been lauded for bringing them league title and all this.
I knew about Gabriel Jesus, obviously, because I'm a Football Manager guy, but I've knew about Gabriel Jesus when he was like 17.
Wonder kid.
Like wonder kid on Football Manager before this Man City thing. Do you know what I mean? And then it's like 2 years later, I'm seeing Man City buy, and I'm like, bro, this guy is definitely someone special in the world.
I just think in terms of the player that we're bringing in and where they're coming from, it's more attractive a proposition than sort of the hand-me-downs we get from Chelsea.
Yeah. 100%.
Because if the age range is perfect, he's still got more to sort of achieve, I guess, especially if they don't win the Champions League. And there is a connection or an affiliation with the manager as well, which I do think is important. We've talked about this before, but it is going to be an issue for Arteta, I think, attracting people, top players. Not only because of, you know, what's gone on at the club with the likes of Aubameyang and Guendouzi and all these people, but just the stature that he's going to have in the game. You got to earn your stripes, bro.
Yeah, 100%, man.
So this might be one of the more favourable routes. Try 100%. And nitpick little bits from City if you can, or contacts through that.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just hoping that he's not tapping into contacts at Everton, bro. Stay away from that tall, lanky handbag, Don.
No, for real, man. I'm not. I don't like Calvert-Lewin's come back from injury. Hasn't really done much, has he?
They look like they're getting relegated, which is a problem, though.
Because they are spending quite a lot of money on wages.
If they get relegated, we will be more likely to go and have a go at Calvert-Lewin because his price will drop massively.
By about 50%. They have like a relegation release clause, isn't it?
Right.
And usually like it's peanuts, do you know what I mean? But there's a few players that we could be looking at. You know, we could even look at an Alan at Everton as well. I mean, hasn't really done that great, but he was doing great before he joined Everton when Carlo Ancelotti brought him in, you know?
Oh, okay. Well,
again, we need centre midfielders, so they're people that we're going to look at.
We need centre midfielders.
Richarlison.
There's still the chance that what's his name at Aston Villa, Douglas Luiz.
Yeah. I don't think
there's a lot of talk of that because, and the reason why I say him in particular is because he again has got links to Manchester City. Anyone who's got a link to Manchester City, I reckon that we've got a chance of getting.
Yeah.
If only because Pep will know people who are there.
Yeah. I like Douglas Luiz. I just don't think he's a player needed at Arsenal.
Arteta, not Pep.
Yeah, I don't think Douglas Luiz is needed at Arsenal.
Okay, you're dealing with Xhaka, El Neni, and Eddie. New deals, new deals all round for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's very questionable.
Who would you bring in terms of midfield? Yuri Tielemans, another one he's been mentioned.
Yeah,
you up for that?
Yeah, I'll be up for that. I would be up for that. I think he's a bit on the slow side, but you probably don't need as much pace being in that central area. You just need someone that's got vision, that's decisive, and can pick out a pass. And I think Tielemans offers that. He can also bang goals from outside the 18-yard box, something that we do lack.
He's been sort of criticised for having little legs.
Yeah, and he's kind of put on a bit of weight as well. He looks a bit chubby.
Whilst we're talking about that, not to be negative or anything, but I do worry a little bit about Smith Rowe's physicality.
Yeah, and that's why he's not getting games, is it?
Do you think so?
Yeah, that's why he can't last the 90 minutes, can he? And he does after maybe like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, he just looks tired.
What do you think his future role is at the club?
Oh, I don't know, to be quite fair, man. I think he's got bags of ability, man, but it's...
where does he really fit in?
Personally, I'm playing Smith Rowe on the wing and then giving him the freedom to cut inside. I'm playing him as an inside forward.
Right, yeah.
That is the best position to play him. Someone that can, move into channels, someone that can obviously cut inside and shoot.
The problem with that, though,
and someone
is
that can dribble.
We've got Martinelli there.
Yeah, but then we can play Martinelli up front.
Okay, right. I mean... See, that is another... you see, this is what I worry about. I know my club. Yeah. I worry about this because already, if you're thinking, do you know what? I'm actually open to El Neni, Xhaka and Eddie getting new deals, then they're going to be open to that as well, 100%. Not only that, but if you're open to, which I think I have been thinking about, they will probably put Martinelli through the middle at some stage.
We played him and get through the middle at Manchester United when he came on.
That will be a plan.
Yeah,
if he beefs up a little bit, he can definitely do stuff.
Yeah,
it's great just movement. that means again that's how we've got Eddie and Martinelli. So you only need one.
Gabriel Jesus, isn't it?
that enough for you? I don't know. This is what I mean. There's a little bit of me which is like, I really like the fact that he's tried to clear the decks. I want a fresh new slate, clean slate.
It's new players.
You've been here
so
4 or 5 years and you've been
Xhaka
trying.
gone,
Get rid of that
Elneny
because you're
gone.
bringing that negative energy, bro.
Yeah,
You
no, I
know
hear
what it's
you.
like to be a loser. I don't need that here.
Yeah, no, so true.
You're turning back up to work. No shame. No. Let's get new dons. Bro. So
No, it's true. You know, 6 months ago, I was feeling exactly the same. Mohamed Elneny wasn't getting a look in, so we didn't know what he was really offering the team. So it was like, all right, cool, you're surplus to requirements, get out. Xhaka making mistakes, doing costly things. So it was like, get out. But you know, it just goes to show you how a couple of performances can change your opinion and perspective on players and what they're.
Is that though? This is why that there is that argument, and you know, people will always say you're being reactionary. So I find that like baffling though.
Well, if they can do it against the big boys, I'm pretty sure they can do it against everyone else. You know, Mohamed Elneny, for starters, hasn't really been given a chance. He wasn't involved in any of those 3 games that we lost in.
Yeah.
You know, the game he has actually coming in is 2 big games that we was expecting to lose, and Mohamed Elneny put in man of the match performances.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it goes to show you, give this guy the confidence and the chances to play, he will play. He just needs a partner. Now, there's no surprise why him and Granit Xhaka play so well together. They've been playing together for 6-7 years. The chemistry levels are 100%. They should be playing better than what Xhaka and Partey is playing because their relationship's
Elneny that made that sort of challenge and turned it into an assist to give it to Xhaka for the goal against United.
Yeah. Elneny's a good player, man. I do really rate him.
Okay, look, let's talk about forward. We've got West Ham, Leeds, Spurs, Newcastle and Everton, and the season is done. Listen, you're going to have to turn up more, yeah, because the season's running out.
Yeah.
Every week is going down. Yeah? It's going down. Yeah. West Ham away, and I guess they were unlucky to lose against Chelsea that late on, but up until that point, they've sort of really been in it. I don't think they're in it anymore, are they?
No, they're not in it. They're like 8 points behind us now. So and we've still got a game in hand over them. So
their best chance is
Europa League,
which seems really possible.
Yeah, really possible. And I mean, they're in the semi-finals of the Europa League now. So I mean, I think David Moyes has realised that. Yeah,
that's your best bet.
That's the best bet.
Which is going to really help us then.
Yeah,
because he will leave out a couple of key dons.
Yeah, for the Premier League games and focus. He's going to put all his eggs in the Europa League competition basket.
So let's talk about this then. If West Ham were to win the Europa League, they obviously get an automatic Champions League spot.
Yeah.
Does that mean
we get knocked out?
That means only the top 3 would get the.
No, actually.
Spots, or is it another club? Because I know La Liga had 6 teams.
You know what? The maddest thing is that me and my boys are playing an online football manager thing, and this has just happened to us, whereby I won the Europa League with Leeds, so I got put straight into the Champions League, but in the league I finished about 9th, I think. Yeah, and 3 of my boys were 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and I think another one might have been 5th. Do you know what I mean?
And one of them got knocked out.
One of them got knocked out, yeah. One of them got put into the Conference League, I believe. Yeah. But that's because also that someone who wasn't in the top 6 or top 5 won the FA Cup.
Oh, which is now going to give you a Champions League spot as well.
Europa
if you've
League
got,
spot.
Oh, is it Europa League?
Yeah, it gives you a Europa League spot. So if
no, it's always done that. Or recently it's done that.
Yeah, I
think they're changing it, bro. They're changing it.
It's
FA Cup,
Champions League.
They're saying if you've got the right coefficient and you win the FA Cup, Champions League spot.
Oh wow! And then Carabao Cup's Europa League.
It's potentially crazy. Listen, if you can clarify it for us in the comments, please do let us know down below.
Yeah.
West Ham and then Leeds. Those are again 2 games that we just simply have to be winning.
Yeah. To
sort of line the Tottenham game up nicely. By then, I mean, it could be done.
Yeah.
It genuinely could be done.
Yeah.
Spurs have got that bottle in them.
Yeah, we're literally 2 points in front of them. Tottenham, I think they'll pull up their socks for this Arsenal game, knowing that Champions League qualification is on the line.
That's what it is, yeah.
I mean, out of the rest of the teams, my only doubt is Newcastle. I think Newcastle have been on a incredible rise over the past 3 months.
Because listen,
Incredible, right?
I'm sort of the opposite.
You think we'll do Newcastle?
Arsenal are going to make Leeds, Newcastle, and Everton real hard work. This is what the evidence they've shown us.
Yeah,
Brighton,
this is
Palace,
it.
Southampton.
Exactly. This
These
is
are
my
the
point.
games we're struggling. Spurs, I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, so we'll beat the big team and we'll struggle against the little teams. I mean, that's evident, isn't it? But I think Newcastle are definitely going to give us a hard game, and I mean,
Just like it's been an up and down season.
mm-hmm.
The first 3 games, we all thought we were going to get relegated or panicking, or at least the world was trying to tell us we were.
Yeah,
They've gone on a mad run before Christmas, and then sort of looked like they've blown it again, but now turned it around. Top 4 is actually within our grasp. So let's just do to summarise, right, to wrap this up. If Arteta and Arsenal do get top 4, are you fine going forward?
Yeah, I've said that. I mean, my expectations were always for this season, top 4, domestic trophy. I was pissed off that we didn't get FA Cup or Carabao Cup. We were abysmal and decent in the Carabao Cup, but abysmal in the FA Cup. But then I did say, listen, it's top 4 or bust. He needs to get top 4. If he gets 5th, sack him. There is no excuses because it's not progress for us. You know, you have to think, if we get back into Europa League, that's just progress for Arteta. It's not progress for Arsenal.
Right.
Because
is it counterproductive to sort of cancel him then, though? It's like, okay, you're making a little bit of progress now, and then we just sack him off.
Yeah, because I think if there's a better manager, if he's making progress with this squad, then a better manager is going to make even more progress with this squad. You have to bear in mind, a lot of people think that if a new manager comes in, everything has to get ripped to shit and we have to start again. No, the foundations have been laid by Arteta. Thank you so much, Arteta. There's only you only can take these guys so far. We need someone else to come in, add their stamp on it, and take them to the next level.
Usually, this is the problem with United. Usually what happens in trying to make their stamp on their new club is they need their players. They need, to spend loads of money.
Of
and
course.
That sort of ideal that you were trying to work with before, that's not what I'm about.
Yeah, but you know what? We're in the same process now regardless, because we've got the foundation. Arteta still needs the sprinkles in order to build the rest of the cake. So if we bring in another manager, they're going to add their sprinkles to the already made half a cake or whatever it is, and off we go again. I think this project that's been put together, it's not only been put together by Arteta, it's been put together by Edu, and maybe Josh Kroenke's had some form of input in what's going on. And I think that project will still continue even if Arteta was gone. I don't think it will be ripped up. It would still continue. We've got good players, Tommy Yasu's, Aaron Ramsdale's, who were my 2 favourite signings when we signed them, to be quite fair. I think I did mention that to you. So we've got those type of players. We've got Saliba to come back. We just need to add more of a pack at that final third, which it looks like is going to be happening this summer. And there should be no issues after that. We need to start competing and challenging.
Has Ramsdale looked a bit shaky to you, or is that just me?
Yeah, he looks a bit shaky.
He is a bit shaky right now. Right?
It comes with the territory, to be quite fair, especially Arsenal territory. You move to Arsenal, you're gassed for the first 6 months, you fall into the trap of, okay, I'm getting a big paycheck, I'm playing for Arsenal. If everyone's not putting up their socks, then I'll just take a seat back. And that's kind of what I've got from Aaron Ramsdale. But as you can see in the games against Chelsea and Man United, there's a brilliant goalkeeper in there. The saves he pulls off, the level of enthusiasm he has, the way he can trigger an attack, just like that. We've got a really good goalkeeper. We just need to make sure that we can continue with the momentum, basically, and just keep building, man. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we'll meet again after the West Ham game. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please do subscribe to the channel, and Wax's links are in the description box below. For now, though, we're going to love you and leave you. We've been
the Arsenal Agenda.
Indeed we have.